Okay folks, we let this sit overnight and we're getting ready to get back to mixing and start our next pour. And it's pretty hard, plenty enough to work with. It's a good time if you don't like these little lines and stuff in it to go ahead and get them out, but we're not worried about looks on this one. So we're just going to keep rolling with it. And it's setting up really good. It's good and hard already, but I'm sure not hard enough to fire yet. But anyway, we'll go ahead and get mixed and get the bucket in there. We'll get a piece of tape or something over this, and we don't want anything to get in it if we can keep from it. We'll see what we can get done. Okay, we got the bucket down in, and we've got it about as centered as we can get it. It's not a critical thing, so. But I went ahead and drilled a hole through it, and this is just an old piece of the steering shaft, I think, from one of the rat rod builds. I slid it through it, and that way it comes to it, we can hook the forklift to it and pick straight up on it if it starts giving a little trouble coming out. But anyway, we'll get the mixing, I'll get this, and we're gonna get started on the actual lid for it. I figured I'd show you this. I think everybody get a kick out of this. This is a Banks paint pot, and I actually thought about using it for that smelter, but or a furnace. Smelter is the process when they're actually making the aluminum. I know I keep calling it a smelter, but it's not actually a smelter, just a furnace. But anyway, just excuse me if I say stuff wrong. I usually do most of the time. I know what I mean, but I don't always get it out like it ought to be. But anyway, I wanted to tell you the story on this this Banks paint pot. This is a 60-gallon pot, and it's been used one time. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's $6,000 pot is what it costs. And it's kind of funny. The factory bought it, brought it in, set it up, started to used it one time, and then OSHA come in and seen it and said, you can't have that. And they said, why? And they said, well, you just can't have a 60-gallon paint pot. And they said, well, can we have two 30 gallons? And they said, yeah, that's fine, but you can't have a 60. So anyway, so this brand new paint pot got sold, and I bought it. And I mean, I won't lie, I bought it so cheap, it was well worth getting. But anyway, I thought about using it for my furnace, but that would be the most expensive homemade furnace probably ever made, using the $6,000 Banks pot. But I hadn't found anybody that needed one yet. But anyway, if anybody does need one, I got one. All right, back at it. And don't let the fact that you don't have anything to mix this with stop you from doing it. And I'm sure they didn't complain a whole lot back in the 1800s when they was doing it. Who would have ever thought that this was part of building an engine? Back in the early days, Henry Ford and Davidson boys and all that, Harley Davidson, they all started out in those little shops, and tinkering and inventing and building. But if it wasn't for people that was willing to do what I'm doing right here back then, we wouldn't be where we're at. Anyway, makes you think about it. We've come a long way. off here real quick and I'll show you where we're at, what we got left here. Okay, we've got it packed down in there pretty good. Bring it up where we need it, and we'll go ahead and smooth it off the best we can. Don't have to be perfect because we got to add to it, but then we'll let it sit probably overnight, maybe a little bit longer before we try to pull that bucket out. And we're going to go ahead and get started on the lid. I'm going to do some metal work on it and show you what I've got planned for it. But let me get this in here. A little bit more mixing to do here. We'll get it in there and see if we can get it get this part finished up anyway. Okay folks, we've got it poured up as high as we're going to do it, or for this pour anyway, and we'll pull the bucket up next couple days and finish it off, get it good and smooth on top. Normally I wouldn't have went up that high, but I had enough mixed up, so I went on and done it. I don't see a problem with having breaks in it. In other words, doing this and then adding another one to it. You know, when you do concrete, you put lines in it, or you put pieces between it, because things expand and contract, and you know, that it would help it keep it from cracking. Now that's a pretty tall pour at once, because we went from just 4 inches up all the way to there, so it probably wouldn't help it anyway. But you know, I don't think it matters. I really don't, and never had a problem with it. And don't let the lack of knowledge on, you know, the thickness of your material and, you know, how thick you need it for insulation and all that. Don't let that bother you on building one. It don't matter. I mean, if you're, you know, worried about it using a certain amount of fuel or something like that, you might want to insulate it, wrap the outside, whatever. Or maybe if you're using it in the summertime in a shop and you don't want it to lose heat. But you know, if you're not going to pour a bunch, it really don't matter. I mean, all you got to do is be able to melt the aluminum. I mean, we could dig a hole in the ground if we had clay and throw a burner in it and some air to it, and you know, just do it in a hole in the ground. I mean, it's done all the time overseas and in third world countries where they're still building stuff. And so this is, you know, a Cadillac compared to what they use. And the leftover, I went ahead and just cut some old jugs and poured some pieces. That's what my crucible set on, and they're not perfect, and I'm not worried about them. You know, just some round blocks is all you need, and sit in the bottom, one in the bottom of this, and then you set your crucible on top of it. And anyway, we're gonna get on the lid now. We're gonna let this sit. I'm gonna cut this thing back, you know, a pretty good ways. Make the lid probably 3 or 4 inches tall. We're gonna put a hole in the center, weld a pipe in, just like we did the bottom, and maybe just a little bit bigger, but I don't want one big enough to put stuff down in. All you got to do is be able to see down in it. And then if you're using a pyrometer, you know, for temperature, you can slide it down in there. But I mean, I've never used one anyway. But a hole there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my old slip roll, and I'll show you it here in a little bit. But we're going to just bend a piece to go on the outside of this. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to have a piece welded on here that's going to actually hold the lid, and I'll show you how to do it later. But I want to strengthen this up, because if it goes to bend, it'll crack the stuff inside of it. Also, I'm going to add some bolts in it. Get it cut and get it cleaned out good. But okay, I've showed this before in a video, but this is an old slip roll. We're going to try to roll this piece to go around that barrel, and this is about 3.5 inches wide, maybe 4 inches wide. It's not perfect cut, but anyway, we're going to see if we can roll it to get around it, and that'll strengthen it up some. And we'll see how this works out. Another machine, the guy actually gave this to me, and it sat outside for probably 50 years before I got it. It still sits outside. One of these days I'll get it in there and redo it, but I hadn't made it any better on its life anyway. Okay folks, we've got our band bent around it, and just got it tacked on. That'll work out fine. Getting ready to put a hole in it. We're going to actually use this piece of drive shaft, and we'll run it down level and then weld it, and we'll flip it over. I'm going to do some more welding around the edge, of course, but I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to weld some bolts in it. But I was looking for some bolts, and so I wanted to use something I don't use any of, which are these. I ran along these bolts, Never seen any before. Not sure what they are. Thought maybe somebody could tell me. I know this one's got an anchor on it, like we go into concrete possibly or something, with a plastic lock. And I just don't know. Got plastic inside of it. I don't know if it's some kind of breakaway bolt or what it is. Something special. I don't know. Anyway, I figured somebody might know what they are. Alright, let me get back at it. Okay, we got the piece welded in. Didn't warp it up too bad. It warped a little bit, ain't no big deal. Went a little bit bigger with this time. It's a drive shaft. And let me see, we cleaned the inside of it about. I've still got a lot of welding to do on this piece that goes around it. But I'm going to probably run some, I was going to run bolts in it, just sticking out. I'm probably just going to run some ties to go from the center to the outside, weld it together. And just something to help hold that refractory material in. I don't want it coming out, and definitely don't want it, hopefully it won't crack, but you know, I've seen a lot of them that are cracked. My last one I used for years never cracked. I don't think cracks would matter that much anyway. I mean, I'd be more worried about it busting apart and stuff falling out. But anyway, we're gonna get these welded in, and then I don't think I'm gonna pour this yet. I think I'm gonna wait, and when I pull this up out, I'll go ahead and, you know, pour the rest of this at the same time as I do that, and we'll be done with all that. And we're gonna build our piece for our door. It'll be quick and easy. Cut this off, and I'm gonna build the burner. I use a 35 thousandths MIG tip, and that's basically it. And just a little holder to hold the sort of a pencil burner, you know, hold it in the center. And I don't inject any air or anything like that, never have. I mean, it'd probably get hotter faster if I did, but I'm just doing it the way I used to do it. And I just actually run the hose to the regulator on my torch, and because I run propane on it instead of acetylene, so, and I use my torch regulator to do it. And you know, the chances of needing the torch and melting aluminum at the same time is probably pretty slim, so never had a trouble before. So anyway, we'll get these pieces welded in, and I'll show you what it looks like, and then I think we'll call it a video after that. Okay folks, we've got the lid basically done. Went ahead and put just 5 3/8 solid rod spokes in there, and that'll keep that refractory material from coming out, and strengthen it up. Welded all the way around it, but it kept drawing oil out of that crack in that 55-gallon drum. It was actually pouring it out of the inside too, and you know, I washed it out really good. But so terrible weld, but it don't matter. It ain't a big deal. I'm not gonna let it bother me. It's not really there for strength anyway. So anyway, that's good enough for that. We can get that filled in, and then we'll get it on here. And next video we'll finish up. We shouldn't have to mix but one more time to do the lid in this, and then we're going to go ahead and do the hinge on it. I'm going to run a rod up, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Make it where the door actually, it's sitting on, and as soon as you move it, it starts climbing, and you can swing it on around, and that way with just one motion we should be able to just pull it over off, and I think that'll work out fine. And then and the next one, of course, we've got to get this out, and which may be fun, but we'll get it one way or the other. I mean, worst comes worst, we can cut the bucket, but hopefully we can pull it up out of there, pick it up out of there. And we'll cut this off, get our burner built, and hopefully, probably won't be able to fire it on the next one because we're going to, next video, because I'm going to have to wait, but I'll fire it up a few times and go ahead and get it cured, you know, within the next week or so, and a few days to dry, and then, you know, fire it one time, maybe 10 minutes, and next time 20 minutes, and just build it up. But after you fire it, you need to let it cool all the way down, and won't take long. We'll have it ready, and then you know, we can get to building our motorcycle case. And I've got to build the flask for that. We're going to do that out of wood, so I'll show you how to do that. And so basically, you know, we're starting from scratch. So all right, I'm going to call it a video. Appreciate everybody watching, and until next time, bye.